Welcome into another edition of Hawks Nest. I'm Clay Harrell, and we have a big slate of things to talk about today. The MLB playoffs are underway. A couple of Game 3s have wrapped up. Another Game 3 to look at for this evening, and we also have the COVID impact now on the NFL schedule. We have two big primetime games, and I'm joined here by Owen Carando and Justin Trovillion. And boys, I guess we can take a look now to start. The Cardinals and Padres, Game 3. Who do you guys got, Owen?
I'm going with the Cardinals in a 5-3 ball game. I think Jack Flaherty is going to give us 7 solid shutout innings, and the bullpen may give up a few. But as long as the Cardinals can get into that Padres bullpen early, I think we got a shot.
I think the Cardinals will definitely jump out to an early lead, as we've seen, but I don't think the lead will be safe with Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado. I think they're going to get hot toward the end and take that lead right from St. Louis and walk away with the win.
So I think one thing to look at, Owen, you mentioned the bullpen of the Padres. The Cardinals probably jump out to an early lead and try to get deeper into that pen, but the Cardinals' pen's also beat up. Do you think the Cardinals will have success?
I'm hoping so. I mean, when you look at it, they've gotten the bullpen before the fourth inning, both in Game 1 and in Game 2. So if we can get into that bullpen early and Jack Flaherty can keep the ball in the ballpark, I think we got a shot.
I think realistically you're probably going to need Flaherty to go 7, which not many pitchers in this postseason have done. You've seen Trevor Bauer go 7 2/3. Kershaw went 8 last night, but it's kind of trending towards the direction of the managers are erring on the side of caution. I think especially in a winner go-home game like today, you're going to see a very short leash for Flaherty, and I don't think the Padres starter's even been announced yet because even their manager last night at the game said he has no idea who he's starting in this game today. So it's going to be a short leash, and I think the Padres, as weird as it is, they might be in a better situation because they're going bullpen game anyway, so everybody might be on a shorter leash as it is. But if we want to take a look at another NL Central team, the Cubs have their backs against the wall today against the Marlins. Sixto Sanchez duels against Yu Darvish. Justin, who do you got in that matchup?
I have Chicago because Yu Darvish, in this situation, I trust him more than a young guy in Sixto Sanchez. I think Chicago, they have the experience to tie this series.
Owen?
I'm going to go with the Marlins, even though the Cubs have their ace and Yu Darvish on the mound. Sixto Sanchez is a young stud who is up and coming, but we're not going to see a lot of runs scored. It may be a 2-1 game, 3-1 game at that.
I agree. I think Sixto Sanchez he hasn't been in this moment before, so maybe that could benefit him in a way of just he goes out and pitches like it's just another game. And you see him compared to Pedro Martinez, so maybe they get the young stud out there and he gets it done against the Cubs lineup who hasn't seen him yet because they play their division teams. So you could see Sixto have some success, but you also, like Justin said, it's hard to kind of always go against Yu Darvish just because of how good he's been this year and in the past. And now that they have him all in the bubble, they have COVID regulated, so I'm assuming that they're going to be able to get to the World Series, get it done. But one league that doesn't necessarily have COVID regulated all the way is the NFL. You see the outbreak in the Titans facility. Now their game against the Steelers for this week has been postponed until it's just a big nightmare for the schedule. So Owen, what are your thoughts on this whole outbreak going on right now?
Yeah, it's kind of tough when it comes to scheduling and rearranging these games around. You have the Steelers getting their bye week in Week 4, which is not ideal for any football team, and it's not ideal for any fantasy managers either, really.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that just makes it tough on a team having to play for 13 straight games now, and it especially makes it tough on fantasy players having to rearrange their lineups and things like that.
Yeah, the 13 straight weeks for Pittsburgh is going to be a brutal stretch. But now you got to look at, they get now the Ravens in Week 8 is what the unofficial report is instead of Week 7 or vice versa. So that's going to be a stretch of games now where Pittsburgh's on the road, I think, for 3 straight weeks, which that's taxing. Anytime you go on the road, especially with the regulations that are out, it's going to be a tough stretch for Pittsburgh. But I think their football team is good enough to get the job done. I don't know if it's exactly a 3-0 going on a 3-game road trip, but their defense has proved to be pretty big. But Sunday Night Football this week is the Packers and the Falcons. Oh, that's Monday Night Football, isn't it?
Yes.
That's a big game on Monday night. Sunday night, 49ers and Eagles. Justin, we could tell by the mask that you're a big Eagles fan. And it's been a kind of a rough start. What do you got for us?
Well, it has not been an easy start, that's for sure. Tying with the Cincinnati Bengals is definitely not ideal, and losing to the Washington football team was also pretty upsetting. But I think as bad as it's gotten, the 49ers have so many injuries. I think that the Eagles can actually walk away with the win. and that's as unbiased as I can get.
Do you still trust Carson Wentz at quarterback for that team?
I do. I think Carson Wentz is the man. He knows what he's doing. He just needs to work on holding on to the ball for too long and his fumbling problems. And in all honesty, I think Doug Peterson needs to give up his play calling situation because he's just a bad game manager, in my opinion.
Oh, and what do you got for Sunday Night Football?
It's really tough for me to take the Eagles, knowing that the 49ers are 3-0, even though they're missing Garoppolo. But they should have Kittle back Sunday night, which would be a huge plus for them. And Nick Mullins threw the ball really well at MetLife in New York. And even with their defensive losing a couple players, they still had a strong showing against the New York Giants, even though that might not be as strong as it seems.
And then we look at Monday Night Football, the Packers and the Falcons. The Falcons off to an 0-3 start. They blew another lead last weekend. Do we see maybe the end of Dan Quinn in Atlanta here soon, Owen?
Man, I'm not really sure. Even though they did blow, that's 3 weeks in a row now that they blew a big lead. Dan Quinn is a solid coach, and he knows what he's doing. He's been hanging around the NFC South for a long time now. But, yeah, I'd look for them to get out to an early lead, but that's no lead safe.
If the Falcons get out to an early lead, who knows if it holds up, right?
Yeah, there's no lead safe with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback.
Justin, what do you got for that game?
I personally think Atlanta has no chance. I think Aaron Rodgers and the Packers will come out to a hot start and just pour it on right at the beginning and then just run away with this victory.
Oh, and you got the Packers as well?
I'm taking the Packers as well.
I will also be taking the Packers. Allen Lazard hurt, though. He had core muscle surgery, I believe is what it was called.
Correct.
Do you see maybe more Aaron Jones? They get Devontae Adams back, and with those two running the offense with Aaron Rodgers, I just don't see the Falcons standing a chance. I'm assuming Julio's back for Atlanta, but he hasn't been targeted as much, especially in that Week 2 game against Dallas. He just was a non-factor. So, to the people watching, you have to let us know in the comments below. Who do you have for Sunday night and Monday Night Football? That's all we have on this week for Hawks Nest. For Owen Carando and Justin Trevelyan, I'm Clay Harrell, and be sure to tune in next week.